The new bracket system is cooked. I'm your host Caleb, this is Deck Tech for Decks. Today we're going to be talking about the new bracket system, why I don't think it's going to work at all, why I think it doesn't solve any problems that it's trying to solve, and I'm going to give suggestions on how we can make the bracket system work. I don't want to make a video just shitting on the bracket system and give absolutely no input, so that's going to be the goal for today's video. Also, if you guys could leave in the comments down below suggestions on how you think we can make the bracket system work, because it's in our, most best interest to make this bracket system work and make Commander a fun format that everybody can understand easily. Power levels is a problem, right? And bracket system is trying to solve that. It doesn't right now, but if we could get it there, that would be amazing. So if you guys want a free $15, you can click on that whatnot link in the description down below. You guys get some free money. It helps out the channel. Additionally, you guys can get 20% off your Tellurian library proxies. And last but not least, if you guys would like to like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. But without further ado, let's talk about the brackets that they've come up. The first bracket is going to be Exhibition. This is described as a super ultra casual deck. There's no mass land denial, no extra turns, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, and few tutors. I do want to note game changers we're going to talk about after this, but let's move on to 2. This is the core, the average current pre-constructed deck. No mass land denial, no chaining extra turns, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, and again, few tutors. Moving on to number 3, we have Upgraded. Beyond the strength of an average pre-con deck, no mass land denial, no chaining extra turns, late game 2-card infinite combos are now okay, and you get 3 game changers. Last but not least, we have Optimized, which is high power Commander. It's time to go wild. No restrictions other than the ban list. First of all, that's cedh, and then at number 5, we have cedh. The only thing that changes here is the mindset. Now everybody wants to win as fast as possible, and the difference between turn 4 and 5 is basically just a mindset. I have a problem with that, but again, we'll talk about that when we get into the video. Let's talk about those game changers, because I honestly think they did get this pretty well. We have Janeth Magistrate for white, Enlightened Tutor, Sarah's Sanctum, Smothering Tithe, and Troubles and Pairs. I don't know about Troubles and Pairs, but the rest kind of spot on. Moving on to number 2, we have Cyclonic Rift, Expropriate, Force of Will, Force of Guardianship, Rhystic Study, Thassa's Oracle, Urza Lord High Artificer, Mystical Tutor, and Jin-Gitaxias Core Augur. There's a lot of questionable picks here, like why is Urza Lord High Artificer here? I get you can build a very oppressive deck with him, especially if you lean towards stacks and cause everybody to never untap their lands, but mostly, I'm just throwing Urza in my clue decks and tapping my clues for mana, which is completely fine. And he is an infinite mana outlet, but if you're not generating infinite mana, he's not a problem. So I don't think this card's the problem. I think the deck built around him is the problem. Does that make sense? So it's just like, there's some weird choices, but oh well, let's move on. For black, we have Bolas' Citadel, Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, Opposition Agent, Tergrid, God of Fright, Vampiric Tutor, and Ad Nauseam. No issues here. Those cards are very problematic. Going on to red, we have Jessica's Will and Underworld Breach. Only 2 cards, but those 2 cards are very powerful. Underworld Breach in a deck, 9 times out of 10, if you cast it, you can string together a win, so I definitely get that. Green, Survival of the Fittest, Vorinclex Voice of Hunger, and Gaia's Cradle. Notably, none of the creature tutors are going to appear on it as a game changer. That's kind of weird, so that's going to cause a metagame that's going to make creature decks more powerful, in my opinion, if you're trying to metagame and make your deck a 2 instead of like, a 3. For colorless, we have a lot of fast mana with Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, the One Ring, very problematic, Tabernacle, Trinisphere, Grim Monolith, Lion's Eye Diamond, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, Glacial Chasm, and Soul Ring. Just kidding, Soul Ring's not here, but it'd be funny if it was, right? They also went ahead and did some multicolor cards with Kennen, Yuriko, Winota, and Grand Arbiter. Now again, with the other Urza pick, this kind of makes sense. They're talking about them as commanders. I have to assume that's what they're talking about. But again, now if you want to play Kennen in the 99, it takes up one of those game changer slots, which I guess is fine. But then I instantly start to think about, why aren't the pub stompers here? There's no Corvold, there's no Voja, no Kalia. It just seems odd to throw commanders out there as problematic cards whenever there's way more problematic commanders. I don't know. Now, before we get into it, and we're going to get into it, let's talk about what these brackets are trying to solve. These are not trying to interfere with your regular pickup game that you have with your regular play group every week or month, right? You guys already know what cards you're playing against, you guys know what cards you want to play against, and you guys know what cards you've kind of just banned from your play group, so it's not going to be a problem. This is trying to solve the issue of people rolling up to an LGS, thinking they're playing at 1 power level, and actually they're playing at this power level. So when everybody's like, hey, mine's a bracket 3, everybody should have the same power level deck, right? Right? No, I don't think it's even close. This misses the mark, and I think it misses it massively. I mean, let's even look at bracket 1. First of all, some tutors are okay. Never mind that a lot of players just like playing without tutors to purposely power down a deck. So the fact that the lowest bracket just ignores those players and says some tutors are okay, it's already missing a massive portion of the casual group, right? So I think that needs to be fixed right out of the gate. One should just have no tutors, and I don't think that needs to be expanded on. I think that's just a no-brainer, right? If we're building super low to the ground, that just needs to be there. I also think one could very easily have no combos. There's a ton of Magic players in the casual community that just don't like playing against any combos whatsoever, so one should have no combos as well. And I think that's the main problem I have with this bracket system. It just seems so disconnected from the power levels that people have already established. There's a lot of people that already build decks with 0 combos, 0 tutors, and just a ton of synergy, and those people are just automatically ignored if they pull up to their LGS with this bracket system, because what, there's no bracket 0, you know? You just say mine's less than a bracket 1 because it doesn't have tutors or you know, it just is very weird to me that that's not even an option. And then you go right on to bracket 2, and literally the only difference between bracket 2 and bracket 1 is you're not allowed to chain extra turn spells together, which seems crazy. So already bracket 2, a super salty mechanic that a lot of the player base has banned, is now okay. So extra turns, okay, you just can't chain them. But that's kind of weird because in a CE or in an EDH deck, there's a lot of ways to get cards back from your graveyard. If you're running Eternal Witness and an extra turn spell, you're not okay in a bracket 2, even though it fits all other requirements. If there's any way to get that extra turn spell back, not okay. There is a lot of extra turn spells that exile themselves, so that's all right. But again, then you can only run 1 per deck, because if you have 2 extra turn spells in a deck, there is a chance you chain them together. So it just seems like a weird, I don't know, 1 to 2 doesn't really make much sense. I don't think the difference between one power level and another is chaining extra turn spells together, so that one just confuses me. And then we go right up to power level 3, which basically just says, hey, anything goes. It doesn't say that, but we get 3 of those game changer cards, which all you really need is Underworld Breach, some tutors, and you're off to the races. And as I said when we were talking about the game changer cards, they did not get rid of any creature tutors, so we're able to just creature combo, kill the table, and it's still a power 3. I think you could build a very functional cEDH deck out of a power bracket 3. And again, I know you're like, well, just don't do that, but isn't that what this is supposed to do? It's supposed to get rid of the rule 0 conversation. So if you want me to just not build a cEDH deck in a bracket 3, it should probably be impossible for me to do that. Does that make sense? And I think one of the most egregious things in this bracket system is, again, I think 1 and 2, there's no difference. And then 4 and 5, again, no difference. It says, hey, no holds bars, and then you go right to the next one and it says no holds bars, but you're trying to win. If you're already in bracket 4, you're trying to win. There's a lot of casual players right now that play with the cEDH mindset. I'm going to try to win, but I want to try to win at a lower power level. So you can't just say this mindset changes from 4 to 5. I think it changes somewhere in, you know, maybe even 3 or even 1. I've played with people that play with a power level 1 deck or bracket 1 deck, and then they decide I'm going to do everything in my power to win the game, and that's why that's how I enjoy playing Magic. I think we have to, you know, admit that there needs to be a little bit more nuance between this 4 and 5 range, because it's just like you didn't make 2 additional brackets. And again, this is a beta. I'm not doing this entire video just to shit on the bracket system. I just want to talk about how it just doesn't work right now, and it's not going to accomplish what we need it to. So if you guys agree, leave a comment in the section down below. Sorry. A little bit of an impromptu video, a little bit of rambling. I'm back because I forgot to say something. Can you tell this video was made last minute and out of nowhere? Anyway, let's get into it because I want to talk about my brewing style and how it doesn't see a lot of representation here. I like to brew decks that win consistently turn 7 without using any free interaction, any fast mana, and I want to keep the card combos to 3 or 4 that don't include the commander. Because once you're including 2 cards that go infinite and your commander, making it a 3-card combo, it's kind of just a 2-card combo with extra steps, you know what I mean? If your commander's in your command zone, you only need to find those 2 cards to win the game. I think that's kind of gray area also. But those, they kind of just like ignored that, right? 2-card combos are okay as soon as tier 3, and I definitely think that needs to get pushed back because 2-card combos are kind of what cEDH is built on. If you just play good card quality and then 2-card infinite combos, you win the game. And that's what we need to push back as far as possible. And they kind of just wasted brackets here. 2 and 4, make no mistake, those brackets are useless. Absolutely useless. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about with the game changers. They completely ignored free interaction. I won't say ignored all of it because they did talk about the blue counter spells, but your deadly relics, your fierce guardianships, or not fierce guardianships, sorry, deflecting swats, they're okay in every deck at any level. And I think that's not all right. I want to be able to know if my opponent is playing with free interaction or not when their commander's out, because you want to go for those risky plays. You want to be able to play against your opponent effectively, right? If I know there's a chance they could have free interaction, I'm going to play differently than if they didn't. Because if they're tapped out, I think I'm good to go. And then out of nowhere, you eat a deadly relic from someone playing a 2. Kind of just feels bad. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Be free to leave yours in the comment section down below. Let's fix this shit. That way we have something usable instead of just another useless thing that confuses new players. Shout out to my high contributing patrons, Irrelevant, Excessum, Creator, The Professional Heal, Chicken Salad. You guys rock. I hope this helped everybody in their deck building endeavors, and I will see you guys in the next one.